They try to silence the truth we shout, but we're still here, we're still calling out. Corruption hides behind a badge of name. We light the fire, expose the shame. We're justice seekers, we'll fight the fight for every voice lost in the night. My life mattered is the cry we sing for the ones they tried to bury within. It's just us, we're a movement wide. Together we rise, won't run nor hide. The stories echo, the pain runs deep. For stolen lives we can't just weep. Elected power but their hearts are cold. We'll bring the truth, let it be told. We're justice seekers, we'll fight the fight for every voice lost in the night. My life mattered is the cry we sing for the ones they tried to bury within. It's just us, we're a movement wide. Together we rise, won't run nor hide. We're justice seekers, we'll fight the fight for heavy wounds, undo the harm. Calling out corruption, we'll stand tall for justice and truth, we'll risk it all. My life mattered is the cry we sing. Together we rise, let freedom ring.
Hello there. Good evening, social change warriors and justice seekers. Welcome to another night of our Social Change Warriors Presents the Angry Bitch Club on Wednesdays, where the bees buzz around and we talk about the cases that matter to you involving women in America and injustice to women and violence against women. And what are we going to do about it? How are we going to bring these numbers down? So thank you, all of you that join me on Wednesdays, whether you're live here in our friend zone or you're on the replay. I truly appreciate you standing for victims of homicide who are women and talking about their plight and what has happened to them and how do we get justice for them, because so many of them are not getting justice right now. And it's just an absolute travesty, the numbers that we are dealing with here on a weekly basis with violence against our sisters, our women, our friends, and our communities. So thank you. I'm Catherine Felton Page. I'm the host and founder of Social Change Warriors. We are a grassroots community activism organization. We advocate for those who have been unalived by the hands of someone else, and their families have no justice. And we continue to hold them dear to us and add them to our memory wall once their cases and their plight, their horrible last night on this earth, once we have helped or others have helped or the police have finally solved their case and we know what happened to them. And then we can move them off our advocacy nights to our memory wall, where we'll always honor them before and after the live show every night. So my condolences to all of the families that we're advocating for. Thank you for the privilege and the honor to speak your loved one's name and to honor their life, while they were here with us, and to advocate for justice against those who unalived them and bring them to a trial. Hopefully we can arrest them, take them to trial, they can be convicted if they did this, right? So we have to make sure that there's solid evidence against this person. And when they're arrested, they go to trial and they are judged by a jury of their peers. So welcome again. Glad to have you. We appreciate you. Wednesdays is our night to empower women, to talk about crimes that are happening to women in this country right now and their unsolved cases, and also to talk about anything that you'd like to talk about. You're welcome to email me. Let me know in our friend zone, if you're here live, what you're interested in talking about. If there's other issues that are important to you about women's rights and honoring women and holding women up to the highest level possible that we can. So we will just give you just an idea of, we started Social Change Warriors. I started it about 5 years ago, and we're in advocacy if you're new here, and we are volunteers and we advocate for families to help them get justice. And that's our mission. So Wednesdays is our night to buzz around and air out what we feel are our grievances. And then Thursdays is calling out corruption. And that is the night that we share the cases with you. We share what happened to the person. What do the police reports say? What do the witnesses' statements say? When we have the permission to show, we will show autopsy photos, but we try to keep it, trigger alert the best we can so that we don't want to be too graphic. If they have given us permission to show certain autopsies, because it's important for the case and important for all of us to understand it and help and help with the advocacy, then we will show certain autopsy photos with the family's permission, of course. So as I love the saying from Martin Luther King Jr., the arc of the moral universe is long. Take my glasses off to finish reading it, but it bends towards justice. And that's what we always strive for in anybody's unaliving. It takes time sometimes. The police don't always have enough evidence, or what they have isn't enough to arrest someone, and they have to keep, as they say, working the case for the family. And that is what most police departments do, sheriff's departments. They do everything they can to solve what happened to your loved one. But there's times when they hit roadblocks and they just get evidence that can't really point in any certain direction that's conclusive enough to make the arrests that they feel they need to make. And that is very frustrating and heartbreaking for our families. So all we can do is just continue to advocate for them, support them, try to get answers, try to get the police to give us some answers. It's very difficult when the case is being worked and it's ongoing and it's open. They don't want to compromise the integrity of the case, and we wouldn't want them to. But sometimes we have to kind of demand answers when things are just so quiet and the family is just struggling and they want to know what's going on and they're not getting that. So we can help them with advocacy, with standouts. And if we see corruption, we're going to call it out on Thursday nights. And many people have called out the corruption in Massachusetts with the Karen Read and the tragic death of John O'Keefe. And they were out there doing their standouts, their advocacy. Some like to call it protesting against the corrupt government. Others call it standouts. Whatever you call it, it's making a sign, standing out on the corner and trying to get attention from your fellow community members, because it takes a village. That's an old saying, but it's absolutely true. Not one person can stomp out the corruption in your communities, in your police, and your government. It takes a village. And when there is corruption that is going on in the cases of your loved ones, that has to be brought out, that has to rise. We've got to get that up out underneath. It's like an iceberg. All you're ever seeing is the tiny tip. If there's corruption, you're seeing the tiny tip. There is a whole lot more below the surface. So it takes time to root it out. And we'll be having Ed Byers join us again here in the next couple of weeks. He's been rooting out the crime and corruption in a county in Indiana called Clark County, Indiana. And he has done an amazing job there. He got the community to listen to him, to believe in him. And they were able to get the sheriff on charges and send him to jail, because he was breaking the law for many, many years. And he got away with many crimes that were unfortunately beyond the statute of limitation when they finally arrested him. So people like Ed Byers, we need people like him in every community. We need all of you to step up, do what you can. And if it's making a sign and standing on the corner, that's great. If that's the most you can do, that's the most you can do. If you're Ed Byers and you're a retired law enforcement and you take it to a different level where you're actually able to get the evidence and bring it out and expose it, write about it like a lot of the content creators and the journalists, the independent and investigative journalists online are doing, then do that. Whatever's in your, wheelhouse that you can contribute to your community to call out crime and corruption, so we can get some of these beautiful people's cases to justice and for their families, for their loved ones. So thank you. We appreciate all of you for joining us when you can. I know there's a lot of content out there, a lot of content creators out there. So when you can join us on a Wednesday or a Thursday or a Friday. Friday is our Friday Night Lives, where we've been breaking down the Karen Read trials and the aftermath now after the trial on Fridays. And like I said, Thursdays is our night to meet with families on the live stream, talk about what's going on in their communities with their loved ones. Is there any progress on their cases? Are their cases stalled? What's it going to take to get justice for their loved ones? And that's what we're doing on Thursdays, and also looking at the different corruption that's going on around the country that people bring to me or that we learn about on our own via social media and via the news. So tonight, what I wanted to talk to you about is this has a little bit to do with the Karen Read case. And as a reminder, on Wednesdays, we stand with victims of domestic violence and survivors. In October is Domestic Violence Awareness Month, and we will be hosting a weekly show every week in October, and we'll be bringing victims and survivors, surviving victims and surviving members of those who were unalived, and how their families are coping and what they're doing for advocacy. So we'll be having a lot of guests on in the month of October on Wednesday nights as we stand for domestic violence victims and domestic violence awareness. Just as a reminder, every 9 seconds, a woman is being beaten in this country. And that is just the statistics that we have there. They seem to be worsening every year. It's really become an epidemic of violence against women in our country, and we really have to do better. We have to be educated. We have to help educate our community members and our friends so that we can help bring these numbers way down, because this is just not acceptable. We have to prevent domestic violence, and we know that it can be done. The statistics, the research is there for preventing domestic violence. It can be done through education and a lot of therapy if we can get the family that's involved with the domestic violence, the main member that's causing the violence, into therapy as soon as possible. And sadly, the numbers are very high, that it's roughly 80% of all domestic violence cases are man on woman. In the day and age now, with more partners being same-sex partners, there are increasing amounts of domestic violence, man on man, woman on woman, but the numbers just are very low compared to man on woman. So we really need to focus on all victims of domestic violence and removing the perpetrator, the violent person, from that household before things escalate. And as you saw in our opening song, our salute to all of our victims of domestic violence homicide: Ellen Greenberg, Suzanne Morphew, Suzanne Clark Simpson, Sandra Birchmore. They were all unalived by someone they once loved that they thought loved them. And that person turned on them, and their marriage, or their Ellen Greenberg, they were engaged. Sandra Birchmore was seeing the person that unalived her, who was married to someone else. Matthew Farwell. That's a horrible, horrible situation there. And they were in some type of toxic relationship, obviously, that they didn't share with anybody, and that led to a violent night, or a violent afternoon, or a violent morning, whenever that person was unalived. And it should never even remotely get that far. There should be so many signs that others are seeing, family members, friends, co-workers. We have to do better at seeing signs, because a lot of times the woman who's being abused, they're in a shell. They're in a protective cocoon shell, because they're afraid to tell their family. They're afraid to tell their coworkers and friends. And then in the back of their minds, they're thinking, and this is proven fact from interviews I've done with survivors and working in the domestic violence shelters, volunteering, that they think, but if this person gets better, I still love them. And if I tell my family and my friends and my coworkers, then they're all going to think he's a horrible person, and they're going to hate him. And then I want to stay with him. And then what am I going to do? So a lot of women have these thoughts in their mind. And then those who have children with these men who are abusing them, whether it be verbally or bodily, they don't want to leave their children. They don't want to be in a joint custody situation. They're afraid of losing their home and their assets. And it's a horrible position to be in. And so many people have asked me this question: why does she stay? Why does she stay? And that is an answer that really only the person that's in the situation of violence can answer, because there's so many answers. I just went over some of them with you: the children, the finances, the security, still the love for that person, believing that they can get better, that you can make them better. But there is nothing you can do when a person is that violent and they go from verbally aggressively acting towards you to actually striking you and hurting you physically. You have to get help. You absolutely have to get help from an outside situation, from a licensed clinical social worker or a psychologist, because that person needs so much counseling to work out, because it's a them problem. It's not a you problem. You're not doing anything wrong. They blame you like you are. They blame everything on you: the housing, the way you clean, the way you look, the way you raise the kids, how you balance your checkbook, what you do, and how you do it and what you do it. They'll blame all that on you, but it's not a you problem. It's a they problem. It's your spouse's problem. They are the ones with the anger management issues, and they have to be seen in extensive counseling to ramp that down before it gets out of hand. And when it gets out of hand, then we have the Ellen Greenbergs and the Suzanne Morphews and the Suzanne Clark Simpsons and the Sandra Birchmores. And they are unalived by the one they loved, by the one they thought loved and respected them. And it's just a travesty. So I do have an update tonight. Just one moment. Let me get to that for you. I have to pull it up here on my phone. So give me 1 second so I can read it to you. It's an update on Suzanne Clark Simpson. There is a, let's see here. There is a hearing coming up for her husband. Let me grab that for you here. I thought I had it pulled up, so I apologize. I didn't have it right where I wanted it to be. He's going to be having a hearing in September. So this will be important. Now, it's just a travesty. Suzanne has not been found, and it's terrible, but there's 3 classic ways that a violent man will unalive his wife. He'll unalive her, and then he'll unalive himself. So that's it. There's no justice. It's horrible. And then in this case of Suzanne Clark Simpson, let me bring her back up to the stage here just a moment. In the case of Suzanne Clark Simpson, he hit her. So he unalived her, we believe, those of us that are advocating for her, and I believe her family believes this as well. I don't know about his family, but we believe that he unalived her and then put her somewhere, hid her so that she couldn't be found. And that way, if she's not found, then he, in his mind, believed that he wouldn't be arrested, that he couldn't be caught. Oops, I'm sorry. There's beautiful Suzanne. So Suzanne was last seen October 6th at 9 p.m. Central Time. And they do believe that he, angrily unalived her, and that it was not an accident, that it was premeditated. They were having marital problems and marital dispute. And I believe possibly there was other toxic behavior going on well before this. I believe this was a slow buildup from what I have heard from the daughter. The daughters made some statements, and I believe her mother made some statements. So this is just really, just horrifying. Suzanne was a 51-year-old mother of 4 when she went missing on October 6th of 2024 after reportedly fighting with her husband. And there was a witness that heard them fighting, a neighbor. They were in the Almos Park area of San Antonio, Texas. And the authorities do believe that Brad Simpson intentionally and knowingly caused the death of Suzanne on or about Sunday, October 6th. But they have never found her body, so there is no way to know her exact cause of death or when it happened. But she has not been seen or heard from, no activity, credit cards, debit cards, her, anything from her cell phone, social medias. She just literally disappeared. So, and we know no one just literally disappears. So something horrible, happened to her. She is presumed to be unalived, and they had evidence 2 days later to arrest her husband. And now let me see if I can get you the date I may have to look this up and then circle back around to this. I thought the date had been put up on the website already, but I don't see it here. So I'll circle back around to the date. It's in September. I know that I wrote it down when I first heard it. So I'll circle back around, and we'll definitely have an update on what, if it's possible, I doubt that hearing will be covered by the media. It'll probably be closed, but we can report on it, soon after, and give you an update on what is happening with the lovely Suzanne, and then I'll make sure and let you know about that as soon as possible. So tonight we're going to talk a little bit about Kelly Dever. And a lot of people mispronounce her name, so I wanted to get that right, because she is owed that pronunciation to be correct. So I wanted to talk a little bit about her, because it was in the media this week that she stepped down from the Boston Police Department. So those of you that aren't familiar with Kelly, she was a police officer in Canton, Massachusetts, where Officer John O'Keefe was found unalived in the front yard of Brian Albert, another Boston police officer's front yard. So those of you that have been following along with us on Friday Night Lies, where Julie and I have been going over the case of the Karen Read trial and the tragic death of John O'Keefe, he was found unalived in the front yard of a Boston police officer's front yard. And Karen, his girlfriend, Karen Read, was accused of hitting him with her car, and they arrested her and took her car, took her cell phone, and then ended up taking her to the grand jury, taking the case to a grand jury, where they said, yes, you have enough to go forward. And then she ended up in 2 trials. The first one was a hung jury. The second one, she was acquitted and found not guilty by a jury of her peers. During the second trial, Kelly Dever, who was a former Canton police officer at the time, has been recently working for the Boston Police Department for the past couple of years, was called as a defense witness. And she was the subject of very tense questioning that went on with Read's attorney, with the very good, very likable, and very talented Alan Jackson. And that entire testimony became really, there was a lot in the second trial, a lot of science, a lot of going back and forth with Hank Brennan, the CW special prosecutor. And there were a lot of tense moments, but I would have to say this one was very tense, because there were things brought out and things that were said, which we were not aware of in the first trial. There were rumors that there was an officer that may have witnessed criminal shenanigans possibly going on in the Sallyport, where Karen Read's car was parked that early morning, but nothing was shown in the first trial. Officer Dever did not testify in the first trial. She was not called as a witness. So this was very interesting when we all heard and found out that she was being called. And she basically, while she was on the stand, and we're going to take a look here for a little bit at some of her testimony. I've wanted to talk about this for a while, but we just haven't had a lot of time on Friday Night Lies. I drew an arrow, because if you see where she's looking here, let me make this a little bigger for you all so you can see what I'm talking about. If you look at her eyes, I call that the death stare. None of us want the death stare, right? When we're in an argument with a friend or a family member, or if we're having some kind of big debate and we get that death stare, that's not good, right? That doesn't sit well with us, right? So she is, there was questioning going on from Alan Jackson, that she felt that she shouldn't have to be answering. And she's looking at Hank Brennan. She's looking at, like, what is going on? I was told I wasn't going to have to answer this. That's what I'm thinking she's thinking, because she's giving him that death stare, like, why aren't you saving me? Where's your objection? So she said, I never saw them leave, referring to Higgins and Berkowitz, but they were in there for a wildly long time. And that was her quote when she was interviewed way back when all this first went down, and she was interviewed, because she was in dispatch that night. And a lot of people are like, why was a police officer in dispatch that long? Well, back then, Canton was still having their officers do their dispatching. That's rare, but some small towns just don't have the budget for dispatchers, and the county can dispatch as well for the smaller towns. That happens a lot. Your local county dispatcher will do the dispatching for you if you're a small police department. But in this case, Canton trained their officers to run dispatch and to be dispatchers. Personally, I don't agree with it because the dispatchers I knew went through major training. It's its own occupation. It's its own level of expertise. All my dispatchers at UWPD were phenomenal. We had amazing dispatchers. In fact, one of them is going to join us next week, a week from tonight, and we're going to talk about how important 911 calls are and how important dispatchers are and how they handle them, and the clues that dispatchers can sometimes pick up when they hear the 911 calls, and then afterwards, when the law enforcement re-listens to 911 calls, the clues that can be picked up, and sometimes pointing to a suspect, sometimes it's the actual suspect that's making those 911 calls. So we're going to have about an hour on 911 with my former dispatcher, Steve, next week. And I hope you'll welcome in. He's a great guy. He was a fantastic dispatcher. He and my friend Daryl, bless his heart up in heaven, they worked tirelessly and they loved what they did. And dispatchers are so underappreciated and they are so important. So I hope you can come next Wednesday for our chat with my former dispatcher from UWPD, Steve, and we'll be sharing, he'll be sharing his insight on how important getting the 911 call right is, and then listening back to it for clues. So this is very interesting to me. When she made this quote, they were in there for a wildly long time. That's just not a normal thing you say. And that's not something you would say if you didn't see it, right? And so she claims in her testimony, and we're going to look at and go over it, that now in this trial that that she didn't see them, that she had a false memory, was what she used. I know all of us were going, what? I think collectively there was this huge scream is, what did she just say? And hashtag on Wednesdays, we swear. We are not monetized on YouTube, so we can get away with swear words on Wednesdays if we want to. So I'm like, what the F, right? And I'm trying to behave and not go full blown, but what the F is that, right? Now you're going to back it up and say you had a false memory, that you never saw them in the Sally Port for a wildly long time. How is that even possible, right? That's just that's crazy. Like, I think everyone in the courtroom, like, lost a breath. And I know everyone watching the trial and everybody that live streams about it was somewhat, taken aback by this. So Emily D. Baker, and we're going to use her stream to go over this testimony a little bit tonight, was code red, because this is crazy, right? How does this happen? And not only that, her demeanor on the stand was very cantankerous, very disrespectful. I mean, you could just see that she was literally oozing, hate to use the word hate, but hatred for Attorney Jackson. She did not like him. She didn't like having to be there. She didn't understand why she had to be there. So I titled the episode tonight, Wrong Place, Wrong Time, asking you all, and if you watch this on the replay, feel free to type in the friend zone. Was she in the wrong place at the wrong time? Is this really sucking for this young police officer who had wanted to be a police officer for many years? I believe that she was in the Explorers program. She was from Canton, and she has her big chance to become a police officer at Canton. And then she gets to move to Boston, to the Boston Police Department. That's a big deal. That is a huge city, big police department, lots of room for growth and advancement through the years. And she picks the short straw, right? Here she is the night that John O'Keefe is unalived in the front, somewhere near the front yard, either in the house and they brought him out, or he was unalived in the front yard and he was put by the road at some point. That's what most of us believe happened to him, that he was involved in a fight with those in the house, and that it didn't go well for him, obviously, and he didn't make it. He didn't survive the fight. And that night, she was working and drew the short straw to be in dispatch. So wrong place, wrong time. We've all been in a situation where we've witnessed something we wish we didn't see. Whether you passed a really bad accident on the highway and you're like, oh my God, if I would have been 5 minutes sooner or 5 minutes later, I would have never seen that. I still have a vivid memory from when I was a child and we passed a burning semi truck and several other cars on Interstate 94 between Madison and Milwaukee, Wisconsin. And I was probably 8 or 10 years old. And my dad's like, don't look, kids, don't look. And my mom's like, no, don't look, because it was bad, like horrific. Like, I think they were pulling him out of the truck and he was on fire. I remember my parents talking about it afterwards. I didn't see that, thank God, because they told my sister and I not to look, and we didn't. All I saw initially was this burning flame thing up ahead of us, and then my parents telling me not to look. My parents saw much more, of it than I saw, but it was horrific. And give or take 5 minutes, we would have never seen that. And give or take that short straw, Kelly Dever wouldn't have been in dispatch that night. Someone else would have. So they would have witnessed what she witnessed, which was Berkowitz and Higgins in the Sallyport with Karen Read's car for a wildly long time. And so then fast forward, she gets away with not having to tell this story for some reason in trial one. And I don't know that anyone's really delved into that. I'll have to look into that, and I'll get back to you all on Friday Night Lives with Julie. We'll do a little recap of this again on Friday Night Lives. Why was that not brought in trial one? I'm still confused by that, but it is brought in trial two, and she sits on the stand and just basically lies. I mean, we all believe she's lying because her body language is telling me she's lying. Her cantankerous nature against Jackson is telling me she's got issues with this, and she doesn't want to be on this stand. She's very uncomfortable. And in my opinion, she's damned if she does, and she's damned if she doesn't. Because she, in my opinion, has been told, you can't get up there and say that. You have to recant that. That's in order for this continued charade to go on, and this cover up of who actually really unalived John O'Keefe. They can't have her get up on the stand and say that she saw them together for a wildly amount of time. So what was concocted was, I had a false memory. On a normal night in Canton, where she's working, she's doing dispatch, what in the world would cause a false memory, right? That really doesn't make any sense. The 1 + 1 = 2 rule is out the door here. So let's take a look at I'm going to share my screen with you all, and let's take a look at a little bit of her testimony, because that kind of helps us understand where our concerns are with her. And but again, I have empathy for her as a former retired law enforcement officer. Being a female police officer is very difficult. We're still not 100% accepted. We want to believe we are, and those around us want to tell us we are, but we're really not. And I can guarantee you that. I've talked to female police officers that are doing the job today. It's still challenging to be a female police officer. You're held to a different standard. You're criticized differently. First thing out of someone's mouth, if a woman cop screws up or makes an honest mistake, because none of us are perfect. In any job, people make mistakes. Surgeons make mistakes. Doctors, nurses, people at nursing homes, police, fire. We're not perfect humans. We can do the best that we're trained to do, but in any given circumstance, in the middle of a chaotic situation, we can make a mistake. So I feel that everybody jumped on all female cops. I was noticing in a lot of the chat boxes in these other content creators that cover Karen Read and the anti-Karen Read group in their chats, jumping all over female police. Well, that's why women shouldn't be cops. And that's why women didn't deserve the right to vote, because women can't do this and women shouldn't do that. And I was just kind of taken aback. Like, what year am I in? This is 2025. Are you kidding me? 2024 and 2025. And because one police officer who is a woman makes a mistake, gets on the stand and feels compelled to lie. I believe she was told to lie to continue the frame and the cover up. And everybody's saying, well, she could have done the right thing. She could have told the truth. Right. But we don't know what she was threatened with. We don't know what she was told. And we don't know any of that. So we can't really judge her because we don't know what she was told to do or not to do. She didn't get up there all by her little self and say, I had a false memory. No way. No how. There's no way. I don't buy it. I don't believe she's that morally bankrupt that she would do that. She was told to do that by someone higher up than herself. That's my opinion, but I do believe I have a good opinion on this. So that's how I feel about it, because I just don't buy it. I don't buy that she did this all of her own accord. It doesn't make any sense to me. So I'm going to share my screen, and let's take a listen a little bit to what it was like for her on the stand with a very good attorney, Alan Jackson. And let me find it here. There we go. And make sure if you're on the replay, if you have anything to add or comments or questions, because I'm going to cover this a little bit with Julie on Friday Night Lies. So I'd appreciate it if you have any comments or suggestions or questions about this whole testimony and about Kelly Dever. That'd be great if you shared them in the replay chat box.
But I think it lessens the impact substantially of those texts.
Good morning. Could you state your name and spell your last name for the jurors, please?
Kelly Dever, last name Dever.
And what do you do for a living?
I'm a police officer.
Donnie B, I agree. Donnie B in the chat said Emily agreed. It was quite the bombshell in the first trial when Proctor read them himself. Yeah, it has a lot more impact. All right, police officer Kelly Dever.
Where are you employed?
Boston Police.
How long have you been so employed with the Boston Police Department?
2 years and a little over 2 months.
Huh.
Where'd you work before that?
I worked for the Canton Police.
Were you a sworn officer at that time?
At what time? When I was employed there?
When you were employed by the Canton Police Department?
Yes, I was.
As a sworn police officer?
Yes.
Okay. What was your
Canton.
duty assignment in January of 2022?
I was a patrol officer.
You're familiar with the case that's presently before the bench, correct?
In some capacity, yes.
Commonwealth versus Karen Reed.
Yes.
All right. Did you ever prepare?
For all of you asking, no, this witness did not testify at the first trial. So I don't know.
Prepare any kind of report based on any of your conduct or your connection with this case, if there was any connection with this case, while you were a Canton police officer?
No.
Were you ever interviewed by any member of the Canton Police Department in furtherance of their investigation related to the death of John O'Keefe?
No.
Were you ever interviewed by the Massachusetts State Police?
No.
Let me finish the question. I got to finish the question, then you can answer it. It works a little better that way. Were you ever interviewed by any member of the Massachusetts State Police?
What are you going to ask questions
in
about?
furtherance of their investigation into the death of John O'Keefe?
No.
Were you ever interviewed by either the Canton Police Department or the Massachusetts State Police with regard to any of your observations on January 28th or January 29th, 2022?
No.
And you never wrote a report about your observations or any observations that you had on January 28th or January 29th, 2022, correct?
No.
Now, if you're looking closely at her face, and I've just been told by my lovely Julie in the friend zone that it is not confirmed that she has stepped down from the Boston Police. So that was put out all over the social media yesterday and today. And I have been told that it is not confirmed and that she's just on a leave of absence again, because she was on a leave of absence before, if you guys remember, shortly after the trial. So apparently she's on a leave of absence again. Now, I would understand why, because if you can imagine the level of hate that she's taken, and all you have to do is go on Twitter X or social media anywhere, and the level of hate that's been thrown at this police officer is insane. You know, it's ultimate bullying, ultimate hate, because people believe that she did the wrong thing, that she should have told the truth, so that there would be more for the jury to consider as reasonable doubt. Obviously, Julie, and I'm sorry I misspoke. She wasn't acquitted. She was acquitted of the manslaughter, but found guilty of the driving while under the influence. So thank you for that, Miss Julie. I didn't mean to state that I stated that in error, and I apologize. So, but anyway, she was found not guilty by a jury of her peers for the counts, the most serious counts, and then found guilty for the driving while intoxicated, and she's on probation for that. So that's what happened with the Karen Reed second trial. But I don't love bullying at all, no matter what, even if it's the bad guy, because why are we bullying anybody? Because we just want the bad guys to be arrested. We want them to pay for their crimes. We don't need to bully them. We would just want them to be faced with what they did. And if they did it, we need it to be proved that they did it, because if we can't prove they did it, then they don't go to jail, because a jury won't find them guilty if there's no way that a prosecution can convince the jury that this person did this, person A did this to person B, then they will not be convicted and they will get away with it. And some people end up getting convicted and they didn't do it. And then years later, it's confirmed they didn't do it. So is our justice system perfect? By no means. It is not perfect. We do not have a perfect system. We have to work with what we've got and try to help advocate it for it to be as good as it can be. So, hey, Julie, thank you. You're good. Thank you. She says, you're good. We do facts, not slander and hate like some other channels. Exactly. We don't do slander and hate here. There's no reason for it. I've always said all along from the beginning that I had a lot of empathy for Officer Dever. Because again, she was in the wrong place at the wrong time, and none of us want to be there. And many of us have been there, and it's not good. And it sucks because we end up having to witness something or be part of something that we have no desire to be part of, or we get injured or we get hurt because we were in the wrong place at the wrong time. So I've had empathy for her. And, but this was concerning to me because if you see, she's been talked to by somebody. There's no doubt. Her attitude is so horrible. Even in this beginning part of the cross-examination, there's zero respect for the counsel, Karen's counsel. You can just see she's seething to be up there. And you can just see it in her facial expressions. And it's going to get worse as we continue to watch. Julie says, lose-lose situation for her. Yeah. I mean, she was in a lose-lose situation. There was literally, she was going to be damned if she told the truth. And now she's damned by all of us that believe that Karen Read was innocent. And if she would have told the truth, that would have been, at this point, we're not positively sure what's happening. We don't know where the jury's going at this point. It was very hard to tell in this trial with all of the science and all of the countering going on between Hank Brennan and his witnesses and Alan and Yanetti's and Ulysses' witnesses and Miss Little. There was just so much jockeying going on for position. And it's like when you're watching that trial, one day I kind of thought, yeah, the prosecution won that day. And another day, I think the defense won that day. So I was very concerned for Karen. I really, truly was. And I think if Officer Dever could have just stuck to her original truth of what I believe she saw, which was her Higgy and Berkowitz in that Sally Port doing nefarious criminal activity to Karen Read's car, which is what we're pretty confident they did, allegedly, then that would have been more fire for the reasonable doubt side, for the jury had they needed it. But obviously they didn't need it, or maybe they saw through her. And I think some of the jury members who were interviewed after the fact did point to her. They were concerned by her demeanor, by her rudeness, that concerned them. So that's good. Hey, Sherry D, welcome. Glad to see you. So let's go back and listen to a little more. I like to stop and discuss with you all, mostly for fair use, because Emily D. Baker, you can go on her channel and watch this whole thing. We're just watching the small little clip of Kelly Dever's testimony that day. And so for fair use purposes, we have to go back and forth and discuss it because this is educational. We are an educational advocacy channel. So we're learning as we go. And Emily teaches us a lot about the law that I learned some things about the law, having gone through the police academy and being an officer. You learn things about courts and the justice system. My mother worked for the justice system, so I had that on my side. But I learn a lot from Emily D. Baker and Millie Little when I watch them cover these trials. So, thank you. Joining late. Fever should have, yes, Fever. Fever should have told the truth. Maybe she wouldn't have turned all her stuff. Yeah, I know. I get it. Now, we're finding out that she is still working for Boston, that was a false rumor. False memories and false rumors got going on all over the place today. So, yeah, typo, but I kind of like it. I think we should call her Fever because, you remember that song, Fever? That's kind of what she gave all of us. She gave us all a fever, break out in the cold sweats and get a real fever from her testimony. But we are finding out, Sherry D, that now it doesn't appear that she has resigned, that she has taken a leave of absence again, which she took earlier. So maybe we'll learn more before we come back on for Friday Night Lies. Yeah, Viva, Viva. Who's saying that? Come on, Shauna. I need Shauna to be here. She's my music girl. She's joining us later. We need music. We need to know who that song. And we're having a heat wave. That was a great song. Marilyn Monroe, remember that one? We're having a heat wave, a tropical heat wave. But that's sort of how it felt at times during this trial, right? It was really crazy. So let's go back and listen to a little more. Pay attention to her body language, because her body language is everything. It shows you how upset she is, how uncomfortable she is, how kind of cocky she's behaving. And I truly believe she was coached to behave this way. She could have got up there and just told the absolute truth and nothing but the truth, like she did when she was interviewed, and she would have come off totally different. So I completely believe she was coached to behave this way. I really, truly do. So let me bring this back up here for you for a little bit, and then we'll be back to discuss.
That was a double negative. Let me try that a different way. Did you ever write a report about your observations related to January 28th, 2022, January 29th, 2022?
No.
Thank you. As a matter of fact, the first time you were ever interviewed in connection with anything having to do with this case or this investigation related to the death of John O'Keefe was by a separate law enforcement agency, not the Massachusetts State Police, not the Canton Police Department, correct?
Yes.
That
Was
was in
it-
August of 2023. Is that right?
Yes.
Do you remember the exact date?
No.
August 9th, 2023. Does that sound right? About right?
I know it was the summer of 2023. So
Do you think it would refresh your recollection to take a look at a report of that interview?
yes, because I've never seen it before.
Fair enough.
So far as the date is concerned, may I approach?
Yes.
Oh, y'all, I'm sure this witness isn't thrilled to be here. She doesn't want any smoke from this case. She doesn't want to be on the stand with this case. Being on the stand with this case is not something anybody, it seems, wants to do, except maybe the experts who are getting paid a ton of money. And even then, they don't seem to want to answer questions all the time. She does not want to be there at all. Plus, she was in court the entire day Friday and they didn't get to her. So yeah, I'm not sure. I'm sure she's not thrilled at all. Like at all.
Familiarize yourself with that face page of that report. Okay. May I approach?
Yes.
Thank you. Do you have that date in mind?
Yes.
Does that refresh your recollection that it was August 9th, 2023?
Yes.
Okay. I want to direct your attention, Officer Dever, to
August
January
9th.
28th, 2022.
So I'm just going to answer these questions. Yes. So when you go on, so for instance, after I had surgery on my neck, and the healing time, I was on Family Medical Leave Act, and that in and of itself then requires that you turn in your badge and your gun, because you can't be in any capacity as an officer. So when you go on a Family Medical Leave Act, it's basically an administrative situation where you're turning in your badge and your gun while you're on Family Medical Leave Act, because you can't practice. You're not an active law enforcement officer. You're on leave, you're injured, or in her case, Family Medical Leave Act for whatever reason that she's on it. So that's not unusual. And I think that's protocol, to be honest with you. So that would make sense. And then if that got leaked out, oh, she turned in her badge and gun, but nobody bothered to do their research or to check. That's why I wanted to live stream about this tonight, because I wanted to get on here with all of you and maybe make sure of what we're hearing is true or not. Because I knew she had been on Family Medical Leave. I didn't know if she had come back off of it or not, and then was resigning. But things get crazy on social media. You have to vet everything and make sure it's true or not true. And we hadn't really had an opportunity. We'd been so packed on Friday Night Lies with content that we haven't had an opportunity to talk about my opinion on Kelly and what's happening to her, what she witnessed, and my theories on why she did what she did on this day that we're kind of analyzing again tonight. But for me, like I said, her body language was everything. So yeah, Julie says that's exactly what I was going to ask you. Yeah, exactly. So I didn't get my gun and badge back until I was back up. And then now when I went on light duty, I was allowed to have the badge back because I was doing light duty in the police. I was police officer. I was working in the capacity of a police officer. I just wasn't cleared to go back out on the squad car, to go back outside the building, but I could go and help interview people. I could go work on my community case. I was allowed to wear my badge. and I was on light duty. But when you're on light duty, you're just not allowed to be out in a squad car out in the street. So Family Medical Leave Act is something totally different, and every department may handle it differently too. But that is what my thinking is, and I'm sure that could be found out. I mean, it wouldn't be hard to place a phone call tomorrow and try to talk to someone at Boston PD and say, hey, is this your protocol? If you're on Family Medical Leave Act, you turn in your gun and your badge while you're gone. So I'm pretty confident. So Sherry D, Sarah Bean Levinson. Oh yes, Kelly's friend that was something that was interesting. And that we didn't know either. We found that out in trial 2. I didn't know. I don't know if any of you knew, but I don't think that was out at all in trial 1, that Sarah Levinson and Kelly were friends, that they went to high school together at Canton High School. So again, like the web of this town and of all of the characters in this theater of the absurd that became the Karen Read trial 1 and 2, you literally can't make this stuff up. It's still shocking and stunning to me every day. Now, there's a lot of other cases going on right now in our country, involving travesties, and they all have their bizarre cast of characters with the people that are involved, like the Donna Adelson trial coming up, and her son, Charlie, his trial was bizarro world, and he's already in jail. And then the trials prior to that, years prior to that, of the people that actually pulled the trigger and killed Professor Markle. I mean, that whole story is really quite something in and of itself. I'm just utterly stunned in that one as well. One minute you have a normal situation in a normal family from all appearances. Same with John O'Keefe, just going to work, Boston cop, raising his niece and nephew. And then all of a sudden he's unalived in the front yard of Brian Albert, and all hell breaks loose. And then we learn about all of these people and their lives and what they're like. And they become like characters in a movie to us, but they're not. They're real people trying to live their real lives, trying to navigate this trauma and tragedy. And we can't ever forget that. And John O'Keefe is gone. He's not coming back, and he has no justice right now. It's been approximately 60 days, and we haven't seen any type of action on any type of reopening of the case. His family doesn't seem to want to even believe that there should be any reason. In my opinion, it doesn't look like they believe there's a reason to reopen this case, that they're just going to stick to their guns, pardon the pun, that Karen Read hit John O'Keefe with her car, even though the science says no, and 2 juries, one is hung, one says no. They're not crying for justice, but yet there's all of us out here crying for justice for John O'Keefe. We want to see the case investigated from a different angle, maybe a different law enforcement agency, maybe who is it though? It would have to be the FBI, because Massachusetts State Police is pretty compromised, right? Canton can investigate it. God forbid we don't want Stoughton investigating anything. They need to clean house big time over there. That has been a years. I mean, I've been reading in some of these chats, people that are from Stoughton saying, I'm afraid to come out. There are things that I have seen in this town, but I'm afraid to come out and share them because I don't want to have to leave my town. I don't want to be harassed. I mean, it's absolutely disgusting and despicable. And the things that are going on in our communities around our country with these little groups of people that think they're better than everyone else, and that they can just commit crimes whenever they feel like it and just run towns. And they walk around, with this disgusting, I'm better than you attitude, and I run this town and there's nothing you can do about it. It's maddening and frustrating, and it makes a lot of people angry. And that's why you felt compelled and called to go out into the streets of Canton and Stoughton and your other towns in Massachusetts, and why others in other towns have felt compelled to protest against the crime and corruption going on, because people are just getting darn sick of it. And it's not going to ever completely go away. There will always be someone who's going to try to get away with something, and they're going to recruit other people that walk on the line of good and evil. So we're always going to be fighting it, guys. We're never going to get rid of crime and corruption, but it's something that has to be part of our life. It's like brushing your teeth every morning before you get up. After you get up and before you go to bed. Fighting crime and corruption has to be part of our lives, part of what we do in our communities, is that we are constantly on the lookout for people getting hired in our government and elected in our government and hired in our police departments. And we have to continue to stand up to crime and corruption. That's all we can do. We just have to keep fighting it and root out as many of them as we possibly can. And Sherry D says, Markle's case, that's how I met Shauna. Oh yeah, that's right. I love that. That's how a lot of people met in the true crime family that joined in with John O'Keefe and Karen Reed that weren't from Massachusetts. They met through that case, or that were originally from and don't live there anymore. They met through that case because through the years, as you know, it's become more popular for YouTube, for lawyers to, now they call it law tubing. And then prior to that, all we really had was court TV, back in the day. And then not everything was covered. Only the sexiest cases were covered. That's what, sorry, YouTube, S's. Because they didn't think the public would care or have enough patience to watch something that wasn't, enough. Basically, you have to be enough to get covered by the media. Sarah Ebersol, my missing mother, over here in Marion County, just to my west, 2 hours to my west, she's been missing for 2.5 years. And her case was just finally on Nancy Grace because Sarah's sister and myself and a whole bunch of volunteers in the whole area here of this northern part of Florida, of the east coast of Florida and the middle section of Florida, we all wrote to Nancy Grace and we said, please, talk about Sarah Ebersol. Her case is so bizarre and she's been missing for 2.5 years. It's good enough. Please, it's good enough. And so it was on Nancy Grace. And last night I had the privilege to go on a local podcast just north of me in Palm Coast. And they're called Flagler Voice and they're on Facebook and they support grassroots activists like myself and grassroots channels. JFK, fondly calls himself the sixth string because he was called that by a first string live streamer, which I don't understand why you would do that. If you're a first string live streamer, you're a first string live streamer. Be grateful. Be grateful for everybody that's decided to like you and follow you for whatever reason. You got talent and they like that and they like the way you present these homicide cases and these trials. But don't put someone else down who's trying to do what you're doing, but they haven't made it to that level yet. And they're trying because they don't care any less than you. I don't care any less than all of the first string live streamers. Let's just tell you that right now. I was a police officer. I care about John O'Keefe as a former law enforcement officer, as a brother who stood against crime and corruption, who served his community. I want justice for him. I care just as much as any of the other first string live streamers. And I care just as much for Sarah Ebersol as anybody else in this whole community, because I have come to care for her sister and her family and her daughter, and I want justice for her. But I'm only a 12th string live streamer, right? We're just a fledgling channel trying to get along, trying to get some notice because we're not making money. We're trying to make attention. We want attention for all of the victims that were gracious, that the families were gracious enough to allow us to live stream for them and to advocate for them. So we're all in this together. We shouldn't be pointing out that you're a 6 stringer or you're a 12 stringer. We're all content creators. And in this avenue, we're true crime content creators. We're advocates for justice. We're advocates. We're not just showing you true crime. We're a separate little entity. We're advocating for these victims. We're advocating for their families. We're crying out for justice for them so that their loved one can get some form of justice up in heaven, that their perpetrator, the person that unalived them, by their hands, with their hands, they unalived a human being. Whether they used a gun, a knife, a pole, a bat, their hands, they took someone out. That's wrong. That's morally and ethically and legally wrong. And they need to serve a punishment for that. So advocacy live streaming is very different than news reporting or than Entertainment Tonight, that type of live streaming. We're advocating for families. We're asking families permission to advocate for their loved ones. That's important. And that means something. So I don't really need a first string live streamer putting me down or making fun of my channel, or JFK who's trying to do his thing and he's in his own lane. He's a live streamer. He's a content creator. He cares. He's an advocate for justice. And that we should all be supporting each other and lifting each other up every day, because if you're brave enough to get on here and stare into this little dot on the computer and talk for an hour, 2 hours, 3 hours, then you're brave enough. And you should be proud of yourself that you're willing to do what many people can't do. James Jackson said it so well the other night when he lived with JFK. He said, we are speaking for those that can't speak for themselves. They're passed on, and their families are in trauma. It's very hard for their families to live stream. I've had Michelle on my channel. I've had Kara Veach on my channel. I've had Brittany on my channel, Hannah. I've had many family members on my channel, parents. I've had the parents of different family members who are still missing, and it's painful. So they can't do that all the time. So we need to do that for them. We need to keep their child or their family, their loved ones, name in everybody's mouths until they can get justice. So we have the talent. If you have the talent to live stream and you've had the guts to get up here and do this and take all the criticism and all the backlash, then all the content creators should be supporting each other, standing up for each other, and being proud of what each of us is doing in whatever lane we're doing it in, however small or large our channel is. And that's my little, because tonight's the Angry Bitch Club. So that's my bees are going to buzz. That's my little rant tonight on treating other content creators and advocates with the most respect, because everyone deserves that who's willing to get up here and talk on this, small screen and staring into the small little white dot. Or last night when I was in a studio, I was in a proper fancy studio up in Flagler County, Palm Coast. They had a little duck for me to stare at. And they had a red light that went on and off when we were on and off the air. I mean, that was some pretty great stuff. And that's what advocates deserve. They deserve studios like that, because we are trying to help solve crimes. We are trying to help advocate for the victims of homicides and for their loved ones, and to stand for them. So that's why it's so important what we're doing and what you're doing. You're advocating for people from your homes. You're sharing out their story, their family's plight on your social medias, and you're coming to these live streams and you're contributing in what I call our friend zone or the chat box, and you're giving your opinions and you're boosting people up and you're sharing your thoughts. And these are all important. This is all important for the families, and not everybody can do this. Not everybody can follow true crime. It's a very sad and depressing topic. We're talking about people who are getting unalived by their family members, because 85% of people who are unalived by a family member. It's shocking. It's utterly shocking. And we keep learning about new ones every day. Tennessee, Kentucky, Massachusetts. You just had a young girl found yesterday, 18 years old and 11 weeks pregnant. And she'd been living in a homeless shelter. So she'd been having problems with her family. And the father of the child, allegedly, he's been arrested. I believe he's even admitted that he did it. So there might not be a trial. He might just plead. Buried her on his 25 acres. He showed them where she was. I mean, it's just despicable. And this is domestic violence. Again, she's one of the three every day. She was one of the three yesterday. Who are the other two? I don't know. They don't make the mainstream media. Some days, all three of them don't make the mainstream media, because they're not important enough for the mainstream media, apparently. So we try to find the families who are struggling to get justice, because they are not important enough for the mainstream media. And that's why we have advocacy channels. That's why we have 12-string advocacy channels, because we want to help people that the mainstream media is not willing to help. They are in their lane and we are in our lane, and we will do the best we can to help the families. So there's my little talk about that. Let's see yes, Julie says JFK did group therapy the other night. Absolutely. It was absolutely group therapy. I wish we could get him to come join us on a Friday Night Lives. I'd like to chat with him a little bit. His demeanor, his voice, he mixes the music in. I like the way he talks about how he's not monetized, so he can play music because he can get a strike, because it's like a slap on the wrist. If you play music and you're not monetized, they're not going to take your channel down. They're just not going to let you make money. And if you're not monetized, you don't worry about not making money. So he has the Venmo and the Cash App, and that's how he asks for donations. We have a Cash App and a Venmo as well. I only ask for donations to help cover program costs, which is like, if you were to donate $1, I would be thrilled. I just want to cover my program costs for YouTube, StreamYard, and all the other things I have to do to keep this channel running. I am not trying to become a for-profit at all. So others, I don't have a problem with those that are live streaming and content creators, because that's their job now. So they should be making money. They're providing a service to you. I have no problem with you doing the super chats if that's how they choose to do it, or Aiden does his turtle chats. Other live streamers also have Cash App and Venmo. I mean, they're doing that as their full-time job. And so they have to provide for themselves. They have to pay their bills. So I have nothing against it. I just don't need to do this as my full-time job. I am lucky I get to do this retired as my volunteer mission in life. So I have no problem with any of that monetary. I think the word grifting is getting way overused right now on social media. Everyone and their mother's being accused of grifting. I don't personally think anybody's grifting. I think people are trying to do a service. This is a new avenue. This is a new lane. We never had this lane before. We did not have live streaming as a lane for entertainment. There's a gentleman, I'm blank out on his name. He does great coverage of the Bachelor series, and he's funny. He's a stand-up. Dave Neal. He's great. Check him out if you like to follow like the Entertainment Tonight type news. You know, he covers all the star power news, and he just started out covering the Bachelor series, doing the Bachelorette and the Bachelor. Now they have the Golden Bachelor and the Golden Bachelorette, and he does a great recap of that show. And he's a stand-up comedian, so he's very funny. And he started out with like 1,000 subscribers. I remember when I first subscribed to his channel 3 or 4 years ago, he had under 1,000. And then all of a sudden people started, hey, this guy's funny. He covers the show I watch. And then he started branching out into covering other things. Like he covered the Blake Lively trial, and he covered Johnny Depp. And so he's really turning himself into kind of I consider it like an Entertainment Tonight type, YouTube content creator. And he's doing it as a full-time job. So absolutely contribute to him. Absolutely, help him pay his bills, because he's entertaining you. He's giving you what you want to hear and what you want to see. So this is a whole new, like I said, this is a whole new lane now, live streaming. I find it completely fascinating. I'm happy for anybody that has the talent to do this as a full-time job, because you get to call your own shots. You get to be your own boss. You get to use your talents that you have for public speaking and for engaging. And there is nothing like live streaming. It's very different than doing a pre-recorded. It's very different. I did public speaking for years and years. I would sort of liken it to public speaking, but it's a different element because you're not standing up in front of a crowd, which adds a whole different level of anxiety. And you're on your feet most of the time when you're public speaking, and you have that live crowd atmosphere. It's very different, but it's a little bit like that. But in most live speaking engagements, you are prepared. You have some type of a script. You've memorized what you're going to say. You might be showing some type of presentation. It's an educational presentation. Public speaking is very different. Live streaming is so not prepared. Julie and I do very little preparing for Friday Night Lives. We know what videos we're going to show you. We have an idea of what our topics are going to be, but it's just all, organic, what comes out of our mouths most of the time on Friday Night Lives. And when I'm here with you on Wednesdays and some Thursdays, I prepare in that I know who I'm going to talk about. If I have a guest, I know what we're going to talk about, kind of the who, what, where, when, why, how. But all the rest of it's just organic. It's just whatever happens to I want to tell you or I want to share. You contribute in the live zone, the friend zone, which helps me out a lot, because then we can go back and forth and I can share your thoughts. And that's what makes live streaming so intriguing. But because this is a new platform, it really hasn't been going on that long on the scheme of things. We have to have a lot of grace for everybody. I'm going to make mistakes. I'm going to say something maybe I wish I hadn't said, or maybe I wished I would have said after I try to go sleep at night after these long live streams, especially on Friday. Oh man, I wish I would have told them that, or shoot, I should have said that. Everybody's going to have their nights, off nights, good nights that they kind of wish they could have done things differently. So we need to have a lot of grace for everybody. Like I said, if you're brave enough to live stream, you're brave enough. I wish any live streamer the best. I know it's difficult. I've been doing this now for a year. It'll be our year anniversary next week. So when we have our episode next week, we'll have to have a little bit of a celebration. It will be our year anniversary of live streaming, our 5th anniversary of Social Change Warriors being in existence, also in August. So I really am grateful to all of you that have supported me and that have advocated for all of the victims of homicides. So let's see, what do we got here now? We got, I'm over the word grifting. Who the F works for free? Exactly, Sherry D. I've been over the word grifting for so long. It's just so stupid in the first place for anybody to accuse anybody that's live streaming, because I could show you how much money I've spent on this thing in the last year because I'm not monetized. You'd all be a little shocked, I think. So people that have accused me of grifting, I just wrote on Twitter X, like, you have no clue what you're talking about. Like, you guys are insane. So anybody can accuse anybody of anything, just like anybody can sue anybody in this world. They won't necessarily win, and they're not going to necessarily be right. Twitter X is an absolute disaster area lately in the Free Karen Read movement. There are people hating all over each other, bringing up old crap that happened last November and December, which I thought was dead and buried and gone, bringing it back out again for what? What is your purpose? What is your purpose to continue to slander others? It makes no sense to me. If it's that big of a deal, then work it out yourselves. Get off of this fucking computer, and it's Wednesdays. We swear on Wednesdays, hashtag Wednesdays we swear, and work it out. You're not going to work it out online because you've each got your camps, and each camp believes the other camp's right. You're never going to work it out, or bury it and say, we're never going to agree on this. Let's agree to disagree. We're never going to agree. Let's move the fuck on. We have victims who have lost their lives. We have families in despair. We're supposed to be on here advocating for people. We're supposed to be on here covering these cases. If you're just covering cases and you're not as much in the advocacy lane, then fine. But we're covering cases that have to do with human life. And you're all on here in the last few months going at each other all over social media, slandering each other, threatening to dox each other, threatening to write exposés about each other. It's just terrible. You should all be fucking ashamed of yourselves. You know, get your shit together and work it out offline, or just never speak to each other again. Block each other. Stop talking to the person. Who cares what they say about you behind your back? It's none of my business what you say about me behind my back. To you who have been, I know who you are. So it's none of your business, and it's none of my business. I don't care anymore. I'm done with all of the nonsense that has been part of this Free Karen Read movement now since last November, and everybody should be done with it. Who killed John O'Keefe? That's what we want to know. We want to know how that man lost his life, and why did he pass away? And why did Kelly Dever get on the stand and lie? Why did she get on this stand and look us in the face and say that I had a false memory? Why would she do that? That makes no sense, right? No common sense to anyone why she would do that. And get serious, people. If this right here is grifting, what do you call the other creators with big numbers? Super grifting? Right, exactly. That must be super grifting, Julie. If Julie and I are grifting on Friday Night Lies because we're still talking about the Karen Read trial, and we're going over testimony, we're going over who lies, we're going over what's currently going on every day in the world of John O'Keefe and the prosecution and Proctor and Uri and all the lies that are going on with Brian Walsh, what they did in the Brian Walsh, which possibly could disrupt justice for Anna Walsh. Then good. Then I'm a grifter. Yay. I'm a grifter advocate then. Thank you. And I pay all my own bills. Thank you very much. I've never asked any of you for a dime. I've asked for donations if you want to, and that's it. I don't do the super chats. I don't want to do those. But we got to quit calling people grifters unless you can prove that they don't give a crap about the person they've been advocating for, unless you can prove that 100%. And all they've done is come on this screen and stare at this little box, this little laptop, or if they've got a big screen for the last 2.5 years, because they don't give a crap about Karen Read or John O'Keefe or Sandra Birchmore or Enrique Delgado or Anna Walsh, then you prove that. And then you can call them a grifter. But don't get on here and call someone who's trying to live stream and trying to share advocacy. Don't do that anymore. It's completely a waste of your time, and it's not productive. It's really not. It should just be done with all that. Everybody should be supporting each other and lifting each other up and helping each other and praising the families for what they've been through and how brave they are to continue to fight for justice for their loved one. All the families should be praised. Sherry D says, I have no idea what you're all talking about. Cat, but it sounds nasty. Yeah, Sherry D, there's a lot of nasty going on. Unfortunately, Twitter X seems to be the platform that a lot of people are using to to spout hate towards one another. And there's many people involved in this, and it's all different. It's all different groups. It's all different groups all over the place. And I don't know if they're bored because the trial's over and we don't have anything going on right now for justice for John O'Keefe. There's no standouts. There's no investigation. There's no witnesses, talking. There's no, nobody is a person of interest right now. Nobody's being arrested. So all they've got is just going after each other constantly. But there's been all these mini fires being set constantly in the anti-Karen Read movement and the Karen Read movement. It's mind-boggling. And I'm happy for all of you that aren't on Twitter X, because then you don't have to pay attention to any of it. But even if you're not, it grifts over to Facebook, because people that are on both share it over on Facebook with those that aren't on Twitter X. So anybody that's been in this movement of Free Karen Read and Anti-Karen Read and who lives in Canton and Stoughton, everybody knows what I'm talking about. There is all these little fires firing off everywhere. People are mad at each other. They're calling each other names. They're slandering each other. It's just got to end. It's just stop. Like Aiden says this, and I like it when he says, stop it. Stop it. We're here to advocate for victims of homicide. We're here to show injustice and call out corruption. And we should all be working together. Now, if you're on the anti-Karen Read side, you're not going to want to work with me. I understand that. You don't agree with me. And I don't agree with you. But I don't hate you. I don't want to dox you. I don't want to make you out to be a bad person. You just have a different opinion than I do. And it'll all come out someday, because the truth usually always comes out. There was a case just recently where a man unalived his wife. A 3-year-old child witnessed it. 3-year-old child witnessed this and told the police that he witnessed his daddy hurt his mommy. And they didn't believe him because he was just a 3-year-old child. And sadly, they did not believe him. So for 20 years, this man has lived his life. They never solved it. They never found her. They never knew what happened to her. He purported that she was having mental health concerns, and that she just took off and left him and the 3-year-old child. And of course, no one believed that. But the police at the time didn't do a very proper investigation, because 20 years later, the young man is now approximately 23 years old. He gets to buy the house where his mother and dad used to live, and he's remodeling it. And he finds his mother. He finds his mother's skeletal remains alongside the cement of the pool. He thought that he had hit a coconut. I'm sorry, trigger alert. It was her head, her skull. And they exhumed the remains. The DNA testing proved it was her. They felt they had enough evidence at that point. The fact that as a 3-year-old, he had said that he saw his father hurt his mother, and they arrested him and they took him to trial, and he was convicted, and he's in jail now for the rest of his life, 20 years later. So we can't give up hope that John O'Keefe will get justice. We have to keep fighting for justice for John O'Keefe and keep advocating for that, because there are many other cases that have been solved many years later that went cold and are solved. So we always have to keep our hopes up and keep the faith that John O'Keefe will get justice someday. And that's why everybody that cares about this, the Karen Read situation and how she was wrongfully arrested and taken to trial twice, everybody should be getting along. Everybody should be working together to continue to advocate and pray and hope for justice for John O'Keefe and for the other things that are going on in the state of Massachusetts. All of you that live there, and those of you that are Free Karen Read supporters and live in other states, there's other people that need you. If you want to be an advocate, you can be an advocate. There's other people that need you right now. We have 13 victims that we are advocating for, and you see their pictures before and after every one of my live streams. We're working with all those families to help them get justice just by advocating for them and speaking their name and honoring them. And you can do that. You have that ability and that option and that opportunity to do that. Yes, Sherry D. Right. Kind of like Trump with the Central Park Boys. Yeah. I mean, that was a travesty, and look at how long that took. But there were people that did not give up. There were people that refused to believe that they were guilty, and they believed they were innocent, and they didn't give up on them. And that's, if this is what our calling is, whether you're a paid advocate or you're a volunteer advocate like me, then we don't give up. We don't give up on people. We keep saying their name. Marion County, where in the F is Sarah Ebersol? Why have you not found her yet 2.5 years later? Volusia County, why did you not have any type of investigation into the death of Jason Veach, who was suffocated and held down in a bar after a man walked into a bar and threatened him with a hatchet? Why over in Lake County, why was Deshaun Hudson shot 14 times, and you're claiming that man who had the carrying concealed was allowed to do that because of Florida stand your ground law? How is that Florida stand your ground law? Shooting someone 14 times who was unarmed because you thought maybe he had a weapon? There is so much injustice going on in all of your communities around this country, whether you live in California, Massachusetts, Florida, Wisconsin, Texas, Tennessee, South Carolina, where a young man was framed for his own unaliving on a train track, and his family is still desperately seeking justice. We met his family here on Social Change Warriors a few months ago. These things are happening in our communities, and we have to stick together. We can't be focused in on little petty, silly arguments, calling people names and slandering people online in your free time during the day when there's people that have died and have no justice. This is our calling, to help their families get justice the best we can. And that's what we're going to keep doing here at Social Change Warriors. Cat, I made that comment based on BS Wendy Murphy. Wendy spewed BS on expert. Oh, yes, Wendy Murphy. She's quite something, isn't she? And she's a lawyer and like a lawyer journalist. I don't understand it at all. Let me go back up. Yes, right. Julie says, I get it. Very interesting to hear all about federal law and the arguments against women victims. Let's see. Sherry D. I can't with Wendy, as I remember her BS with the Duke lacrosse. But that was like famous, right? I mean, that's still, I believe that's like being used in law books and law schools. Everything that happened with the lacrosse team and Wendy Murphy's contribution to that. And she has made some really bizarre statements as of late. Her use of social media is quite concerning at times. I don't know why someone that is like over her in authority doesn't like sit down with her and have a little chat, that this really isn't appropriate for you to be saying these things. But a lot of people use social media for no good. They don't use it for anything positive whatsoever. And I just don't understand it. It's mind boggling to me. So that's just crazy. Out the setting on which the comment scroll is green. Oh, yes. Oh, thank you. Yes, Sherry D. Thank you. I forget to do that because sometimes it's kind of a slow comment night. So it's so easy for me to keep up. Sherry D says, my ex-boyfriend's death was ruled a suicide, an S word. Sorry, YouTube. I know he didn't alive himself. Cops hated him. That's terrible. And there's a similar situation that happened here in Volusia County. I met a young woman because of this channel, and she's come to some of our live streams, and she lost her boyfriend the same exact way, that he, for whatever reason, he was not well liked by the police in his community, and he was in some type of a disagreement with his neighbor, and the neighbor actually unalived him, and then they used Florida stand your ground law. So they didn't frame him for his own death, but they used the Florida stand your ground law not to put any type of punishment on this neighbor for his overreaction and shooting this young man in his yard when that wasn't warranted at all. They're using Florida stand your ground law down here in Florida for a lot of nefarious, nightmarish BS, in my opinion, and we're going to continue to talk about that as well. So now let me see here. Show comment. Here we go. Okay. I see. I have to do a separate plan for that, Cherry D. I'll work on that for Friday Night Lies. I have to enroll in a different plan to be able to do the overlay. So I will work on that. Thank you. Sherry D says, I can't believe Wendy or Grant. Sorry, Julie. Yeah, Julie has shared with us on Friday Night Lies that she has made casual friends with Grant in a way that she respects him for what he's trying to do. And Grant has an interesting take on a lot of things, but it's his show. It's his live stream. You don't have to watch it. If you don't agree with what Grant has to say or Grant's opinion on the trial and on what's happening in Massachusetts, flick him off and go find a different content creator that you are okay with. But there's no reason. We don't have to say nasty things about Grant. We don't have to put Grant down. He's doing his best. He's doing what he loves. He has a love for live streaming and a love for content creating and advocacy. And we might not agree with it, but that's okay. We don't have to. It's not my place to agree with him or not agree with him. I've gone on a couple of his shows just to garner some information and see what he has to share. And I've been in the chat, and they know I believe Karen Reed didn't hit John O'Keefe with her car. And I've made that very clear in the chat that I feel that way and why I feel that way. But they've been very respectful towards me when I've gone on his live streams, and I've gone in other content creators' live streams, and I haven't always agreed with everything, how they've presented it. I've basically agreed with what they're presenting, but I don't always agree with their methods or their tactics. And that's just my opinion. I don't have to. And if their methods and their tactics bother me too much, then I don't have to watch them, or I just deal with it because the rest of their content is something I'm interested in. So I just deal with the parts that I'm not really fond of. We're grown-ups, right? That's what we do when we want to follow somebody. We might not like everything about them, but it's not my place. I'm not their mother. I'm not here to teach them anything. I'm not their teacher or their mother. I'm just a consumer of what they're putting out on social media on their channels. So I might like some of it. I might not like some of it, but that doesn't mean I should use my social medias to bash them or say nasty things about them. There's no point in that. And they don't care anyway, because they're going to keep doing it the way they want to do it, because it's their channel. And that's just how I see all of this. So Sherry D says, oh, hello. Well, what's the matter, Tanner? Oh, I must have company. Maybe something's going on outside. They like to alert me, so I don't ever scold them for alerting me, because when I'm not here, when I'm here by myself, sometimes I like to be alerted. So I know too much about Grant and what he's done to people. Yes, Sherry D, I understand. And there's things I don't know, and I probably don't want to know or don't need to know. If it was something that could hurt me or affect me, if it's something that's hurting or affecting you or people I understand why you would feel that way. And if it became egregious enough, there are things that are egregious enough that if we do have a platform, and Julie and I have a platform on Fridays together, and I have this platform on Wednesdays and some Thursdays, if I feel it's egregious enough, and I feel my subscribers need to know, I will share what I know that's factual, because that's what we need to do. We can't share rumors and innuendos, but we can share factual information if we feel it's egregious, and we need to do that. So I hear you. I understand where you're coming from completely. Yeah, Sherry D says, Kat, you do need to know. Okay, well then I'd be happy to know. If you wanna get with me sometime and put me in the know, I would be happy to be in the know. I like being in the know. Our banner usually at the bottom. In fact, let me put up our banner, because I like to have that one up. Knowledge, power, action, change. That's our banner. If we have knowledge, we have power, and then we can use that power for good to create change and action. And that's what we're all about when it comes to advocacy. So I'm very happy to hear whatever you want to share with me. Let's have a conversation either in an email or on the phone. Shauna and Julie have all my contact info. Sherry D, you're welcome to it. And I welcome you, because I know you follow these cases very closely. And I know that you care. That you really care about advocacy. And we need more Shauna's and Sherry D's and Julie's and Kathy Coppins and Kim's and all of the wonderful people that come to our live streams. Vermont Brad Smith comes on occasion, and we have Olive, who comes a lot to our channel, and all these wonderful subscribers of Social Change Warriors that care about justice. So let's go back just for a little bit. I want to do a little bit more on Kelly, because we're going to finish talking about her. This is just kind of my way to get into her and not have to use up too much of Friday Night Lies, because we have so much content on Friday Night Lies. But we'll finish up talking about Kelly on Friday Night Lies. But let's just do a little bit more of her right now, and just to get your thoughts and opinions on, like I said, her facial expressions. Is she lying? Is she being evasive? Is she telling any part of the truth whatsoever?
Where were you working? What was your duty assignment on that day, January 28th, moving into January 29th?
Well, 3.5 years later, I remember I was on patrol. I don't remember anything further about this night.
Did you work overnight, like a late shift going into the morning of January 29th?
That was my assigned shift, so yes.
Okay. Who else was working
On
with
patrol
you
overnights?
on that particular day, if you recall?
Sergeant Good, Officer Mullaney, Officer Seraph, and Officer Pasquarelli.
And what generally was your assignment when you went
That's
into
right. We
work
didn't
that
see
night
Seraph
on
either.
January 28th?
Patrol.
At some point, either that evening or the early morning hours of January 29th, did you note that a call came in related to a person found in the snow, unresponsive in the snow?
Yes.
Tell me about that, the nature of the call, and where were you?
I was in my cruiser. A call came in that said person in a snowbank, something along those lines. Immediately followed by that transmission, my sergeant requested that I come to take over dispatch.
Is that Sergeant Good?
Yes.
Okay.
So
Did
she
you, in
went
fact,
to work dispatch.
respond back to Canton PD to take over dispatch?
Yes. So I was already in the parking lot of the Canton Police while this took place. So I was already at the station.
Did you note whether or not Sergeant Good and or any of the others responded to the location while you stayed back to handle dispatch at the police department?
So this would be around 6
Yes, that's why I
a.m.?
went inside so he could respond.
Were you aware that Sergeant Good?
At this time, Canton PD handled their own dispatch with officers that were on duty. They did not have a separate dispatch
That's what we were
individual.
talking
So for all
about
of you being
earlier.
like, what? I know. They did. I know. She got called in. She was probably the most junior person on duty. She got called in to handle dispatch so the sergeant could respond to the scene.
Did you have any knowledge at that time that Sergeant Good was familiar with or knew who Brian Albert was?
Objection.
Sustained.
Did you know who Brian Albert was at
No.
that time?
No.
Do you now? At least
Because of
familiar
this
with the
case,
name.
yes.
I spoke over you. I'm so sorry. Based on this case, are you familiar with the name?
The name, yes.
Did you know Kevin Albert?
No. Oh, the detective Kevin.
See, I don't buy that. Okay. I'm just stopping this just for a second. I don't buy that she didn't know who Brian Albert was. I'm sorry. She worked with Detective Kevin Albert at the Canton Police Department. It's not that big of a department. It's probably the same size as UWPD was back in the 2000s when I was there. It's, you know, everybody, you know who everybody is. And I knew who some of the relatives of some of my coworkers were who were also in law enforcement. I didn't know them, but I certainly knew who they were. And Brian Albert was on TV. He was on reality TV, guys. She totally knew who Brian Albert was. She was born and raised in Canton. Okay, so let's call this out. This is probably her first lie. Okay, that in my opinion.
Albert. Yes, I did.
Correct. How did you know Kevin Albert?
He was a detective for the Canton Police.
Were you aware of his relationship to Brian Albert at that time?
No.
Are you now aware of his relationship with Brian Albert?
Yes, from the media.
And what is that relationship as you know it?
Sustained.
Did you know Brian Higgins at that time?
Yes, in passing.
Exactly, Sharon D.
I'm not asking if you're social
He
friends.
was friends with
Asking if you
Sierra.
knew who he
Sierra was best friends with Brian.
Yes.
How'd you know who Brian
Brian.
Higgins was?
He had an office
He
there.
had an office in the Canton Police.
Was he a sworn police officer?
Not for us.
Was he a sworn federal agent?
Yes.
Worked for ATF?
Yes.
Okay.
So
How long had
condescending,
you
her
known
answers.
and been familiar with Brian Higgins? Say, for instance, by sight, to be able to recognize who he was.
Sometime during 2020 is when I was probably first familiarized with him because that's when I was employed with the Canton Police Department first.
Okay. Pass him in the hallways, hi, bye, things like that.
Yes.
Yes, Sherry D. I know. I agree.
Understood. Did you know him by sight?
So bitchy.
Yes.
Could you recognize him?
I mean,
if
of
you
all
saw
the
him?
leading questions, that's the one that offends me the least.
2.5 years later, no, but at the time, yes.
I'm not asking you about right now. I'm asking you back in January 2022. Could
Right.
you recognize him by sight?
Yes.
Did you know who Kenneth Berkowitz was?
Yes,
Who's Kenneth Berkowitz?
he was the chief of the Canton Police.
Obviously very familiar with him. He was your boss, correct?
Yes.
Yes. I mean, she's just so flippant and nasty.
When Sergeant Good instructed you to take over dispatch, explain what that meant.
It meant I walked inside and I sat down
And answered the phone.
in a dispatch room.
Describe the dispatch room. What did that array look like?
There was chairs and computers.
Monitors?
Yes.
Does the dispatch area also have monitors of internal
This is good now.
security
This
camera
is some
footage?
good stuff coming up here.
I know there was camera screens, but I don't know if they were on TVs or computers or where in dispatch they were. I
call
don't
bullshit.
recollect
Yes, you do know
where they were or how they would be accessed. They were in the room somewhere. I can't be more specific. I don't remember.
She absolutely does remember. She's a young girl, young woman. She doesn't have brain fog like I do, postmenopausal 62-year-old brain fog. She most certainly I still remember exactly where all of our surveillance cameras were. And I haven't even walked in my PD in probably 5 years to greet or say hi to anybody. It's been a while. I know she knows where they are. And if they are trained to run dispatch, because they can't afford to pay for trained dispatchers, they're trained to run freaking dispatch. They have to know where all the cameras are. It's paramount. So this whole section here, she is going to be lying through her teeth. Just insane to me that she thinks we're that dumb.
But you do recall seeing the
For all of you asking, what she took over dispatch after that call came in from Jen McCabe. So this is after 6 o'clock in the morning that she took over dispatch.
that there were monitors that were showing different views of internal security camera footage of Canton PD, correct?
The specifics, no. Were there? Yes.
Yes, definitely.
I don't know
Sherry.
what you mean by specifics.
Absolutely.
I'm
And
asking
Sergeant
you
Good
what
did
there
did
are monitors
testify.
that you looked
Yes,
at that showed
about
security
monitors.
camera footage
Good
from
call. Good
inside
call.
Canton PD, different areas, hallways, corridors, offices, the Sally Port, for instance.
So 2.5 years since
You keep saying 2.5 years later.
So let her finish her answer and then ask.
It's
Sure.
direct.
It's been years since I've been in that room. They were somewhere in the room. Where cameras were in the Canton Police Department, I don't recall. The media's provided me information since this case took place, and I can't speak on what's my recollection and what's been media provided. There are cameras. I don't know where on my memory
So,
where they are.
so has the media informed you that there were internal security
The
monitors
media,
at the
you say?
dispatch location?
So the objection is sustained. Next question.
What do you recall from the dispatch room, as you put it?
What?
What do you recall being there in terms of monitors?
I remember there was a computer screen that had information about current calls, and then there was a 911 screen next to that. Those are the two computers that I would have been positioned in front of during this time.
I also would be really interested to know how often she covered for dispatch. Like, did you cover for dispatch once or twice? Did you cover for dispatch daily? Because how much she covered for dispatch and how long goes to why I'm surprised or not surprised if she remembers this information. Remember, at this time, Canton PD called in their patrol officers or supervisors to handle dispatch. They did not.
Sorry to interrupt. I have to run my puppy out because I want to finish up this little section here on Dever, and then we're going to pick this up again on Friday Night Live. So I'm going to let this run while I run the puppy out. So if you get a commercial or something wacky happens, don't worry. I'll be right back. And I'll put up a note that I will be right back. Hey, is it Vermark? Vermark. Did I do that right? Snotty Kelly is dumb. Yeah. Well, she's not dumb. She graduated from the police academy. So trust me, she's not dumb, but I get what you're saying with that. I get where you're going with that. She's very snotty and very, very, I mean, she was coached to be as bad as she could be on the stand. I have no doubt in my mind about it. I don't know who did the coaching, but somebody did the coaching. And welcome. We're glad that you found our channel. And thank you so much for advocating for John O'Keefe and Karen Reed. So I will be right back. I just have to run my puppy out, and I'm going to let this roll for you so you can hear this. I've heard this a lot. I heard it earlier today when I decided to show this to all of you. So I will be right back, and we can pick up from there, and then we're going to cover it and talk a little bit more about it on Friday Night Lives with Julie as well. So I shall return very quickly.
Have assigned dispatchers. So her memory of that, I would want to know how often she worked in dispatch. That would be my question. And when she left, because she left to go to Boston PD at some point, I'd like to know how long she left. Mary Ann said, is this about to be a hostile witness? No, she's answering the questions. She's 100% answering the questions. She's answering the questions, it seems, to the best of her memory. She's direct in it, but she's answering the questions. So no, not at all. I mean, it's clear she doesn't want to be there, but she's answering the questions.
As a dispatch officer, by the way, you were a sworn officer at
Yes.
that time, correct? Uniform, badge, gun, the whole works, right?
Yes.
I mean, the lack of bun is off-putting to me, and I am joking, but I don't think it's been a really long time since I've seen a female officer testify without the hair 100% slicked back into a bun. Like 100%.
Had you ever been in the Sallyport at Canton PD?
Yes.
What's the Sallyport?
A Sallyport is a garage, essentially.
Okay. You're aware that the Sallyport garage had a camera, a security camera?
It would make sense because that's where we bring prisoners to drop them off.
Well, more than just makes sense. I'm asking you, do you recall that it had cameras that serviced the Sallyport garage? Security cameras.
It's where we brought prisoners, so there would be
It
cameras.
would make
yes.
sense that there's cameras. She just doesn't remember.
Cameras. I'm asking you, were there cameras?
She said she didn't
According
remember.
to the media, yes. I've seen the footage, so yes, there were cameras.
All right, so hold on. So I'm going to strike that, officer. You have to answer the question based on your own independent knowledge. Okay?
Right. It can't be speculative.
If you don't have them, tell us, but you can't reference what you know from the media.
All right.
How hard?
There were cameras in the Sally.
It's not like you've never testified before, ma'am. It's not like you've never done this before. And no, chat, she's not a hostile witness. It is not based on vibes. That is a legal term of art.
Sallyport.
Thank you.
She's displeased. That's for sure. But I am
Ms.
not
Deborah,
surprised by that.
Do you want to be here today?
I have no relation to this case,
I
so
didn't ask you that. I asked you if you want to be here today.
Objection, this isn't direct.
So it's your witness.
I understand.
No,
It's your witness. Oh boy, we're having like the defense attorneys defense attorneying at each other.
Emily was just killing me here the first time, when we saw this, and she most certainly has a connection to this case, because when she was interviewed way back when, she's the one who said she saw Higgins and Berkowitz in the Sallyport for a wildly long time. That was her testimony. That was her witness statement. So yes, you do need to be here, Kelly. You do need to be here. You do have a purpose in this case. Now you don't think you do because you're backtracking and saying that you had a false memory, but nobody believes that, right? Nobody believes that, Kelly. It's just not it's not credible. It's not believable. Let me catch up to you guys. I have to go back and grab the doggies. They're in the fenced-in backyard, but it's nighttime and I don't like them to be back there by themselves. I have a possum that lives back there. As you all know, Zeus brought the possum into the living room during one of our Friday Night Lives. So I'd like to not have that happen again. So yes, that's yes, Julie. The garage. I think she like misspoke. Has she been taking drinks of water? She's got to have cotton mouth right now, because when we lie, cortisol flies through our body like a poison, and it causes shakiness and cotton mouth and all kinds of crappy things to go on in our body. So I don't think she normally says garage like that. I think it was a misstep, but yeah, we've talked about that before. Sherry D, Julie, I meant mass account channel. Okay, walked the Canton PD a couple years ago, showing the cameras. This year he did it again. Oh, cool. I'll have to go check that out, Sherry. Maybe we can show a clip of that on Friday Night Lives. I'll get that prepped and we'll check that out on Friday Night Lives, Julie. Oh, maybe I was thinking about the town hall. I know he walked all over. Oh, yeah, that's right. Yeah, he did. Oh, wait, we have shown some of mass accountability. We got a strike for that, by the way. He didn't like that. He didn't like us sharing his stuff. So maybe we won't be showing it unless I can get permission this time around, because I thought it was fair use. I mean, we were educating, we were talking, we were educating. So I still don't understand why. Again, it's a slap on the wrist strike. It's not a take your channel down strike. But for fair use, you can show other content creators. You just can't show their whole thing. And so you have to pause every few minutes and talk and educate and discuss. That's what fair use is all about. And we did that when Julie showed, when we showed that clip of him walking around the town hall. So I still don't know what happened there. So I might try to reach out to him if it's possible to get his permission. Who told her to say false memory? Good. I don't know, Sherry D. Your call's as good as mine. I think it was somebody pretty high up. I don't think it was the Boston PD. I don't think so. I think it was somebody in Canton at Canton PD that told her to do it. The Boston PD really has no reason to get involved on that level in this case, because they weren't part of it from the beginning. Or were they? Were they part of it? Because Brian Albert is a Boston police officer, and he resigned. Well, he didn't resign. He retired earlier than I think what they anticipated, right? Isn't that what we believe? Allegedly, he retired earlier than what we anticipated. So is the Boston Police Department involved in this somehow? That's just a question, Boston PD. Don't get all up in my grill. I'm just asking questions. We're just theorizing here. So let me go back to this here for a few more minutes. I've got to go close the door so the doggies don't bring the possum in.
You want to be here today? Obviously not.
There were cameras in the Sally port.
Thank you.
Oh boy. I had to back it up.
Ms. Dever, do you want to be here today?
Nope.
I have no relation to this case,
I
so
didn't ask you that. I asked you if you want to be here today.
Objection, this isn't direct.
So it's your witness.
I understand.
She can, no comments, just questions, not, I understand that.
Do you want to be here today now?
I am put on the stand in a murder trial. I don't know why I'm here. I have no connection to this case.
You have no idea why you're here?
You've never talked to me. Nobody on the fence seems to talk to me since prior to the first trial. So I don't have any idea why I'm here.
No clue whatsoever, as you sit here, why you might have been called to the stand.
Oh, that's argumentative.
No.
Are you uncomfortable testifying?
No, it's part of my job.
You're a professional police officer, correct?
Correct.
I don't know why I'm here. You've never talked to me. You didn't tell me why you're putting me on the stand. I've been subpoenaed. You're making me come, and I don't want to be here. It's obvious she doesn't want to be here. Just say, no, I don't want to be here. I have no connection to this case. I don't know why I'm here.
Means you're a professional witness to a certain degree, correct?
In the crimes that I've gone on the stand before, yes, I have been.
And you understand the oath?
Yes, I do.
What is that oath?
The oath is to tell the truth.
The whole truth and nothing but the truth, correct?
Objection.
Sustained.
I'll rephrase it. Is there more to that oath? Can you raise your right hand as a witness?
I'm objecting.
So I'm going to see it sidebar for just.
Sure.
Oh, boy. Well, I think when asked, do you want to be here today? Her face said, 100%,
Nope.
like just 100%. Her trying to walk around not wanting to be here doesn't quite work because her face says that she doesn't want to be here. This is a long sidebar. So we're going to zoom past that because I'm dead curious to see what this witness has to say. So for all of you saying, does this witness hurt the defense? It depends on how the jury feels about the defense. If the jury feels that the defense is, it really just depends on how the jury feels. Like this witness is sitting there like, I'm not even supposed to be here today. Some people can relate to work. It just depends on what's coming. But Jackson keeping his demeanor from getting snarky, even though he's fighting it, is going to go a long way. If he starts getting snarky, then her being evasive with him is not going to be read by the jury as her being evasive. It's going to be her fighting with the defense attorney because she's not even supposed to be here today. So it really just depends on how they feel about Jackson.
Your Honor, may I inquire?
Yes.
Thank you.
But I don't believe she's here just to say whether or not there's cameras in Canton PD. There's got to be something else. I'm just curious what it is because I have no idea.
Cameras.
And if any of you are watching in advance and you tell me, I will immediately mute you from the chat. I don't want to know. We want to find out together in real time.
One of the monitors that you had access to back on January 29th did show the footage from, or did it show the footage from that one of the other Sallyport garage cameras?
Can you rephrase the question?
Sure, it was a little bit clunky on my part. Did one of the monitors that you looked at, that you had access to at the dispatch area, did it show the video footage or the video feed from the Sallyport garage?
What time did her shift end?
So I already said I don't remember where in dispatch the screen with the cameras was. There was a camera in the Sallyport. So if I'm going to make the assumption, then yes, of course. But now that's an assumption.
She was working overnights. So wouldn't she have been done by 7, 8, 9 o'clock in the morning? Like when did she leave?
I'm not asking you for an assumption. I'm asking you, did one of the feeds, now we're talking about the camera, the other side of the camera is the feed. Do you recall whether or not there was footage that you could see on a monitor in the dispatch area that showed the Sally?
I'm going to go with yes.
Okay.
She doesn't
For
remember.
clarification.
How long?
So I don't know what that means. So what do you mean you're going to go with yes? Is your answer yes?
She doesn't remember. Or she doesn't want to say. Those are your two options.
She doesn't want to say. Okay, that's my opinion. If she remembered, she didn't remember, it'd be very clear. I'm sorry, I don't remember. And it'd be polite, it'd be respectful. I'm sorry, Attorney Jackson, I just don't remember. And you would feel the sincerity because you can tell there's sincerity when someone truly doesn't remember something. She is internally struggling right now with what the F should I say here? Because I think this is another one of her pivotal moments where I'm damned if I do, I'm damned if I don't. And she had several of those throughout this testimony, in my opinion. As a former female police officer, retired now, I can understand where she's coming from here and what is going on inside of her internal issues. Every department, guys, every police department has shenanigans going on. Everyone. And probably every business. You've probably worked in a business that you're not even aware of what criminal shenanigans could be going on, or even just morally and ethically wrong shenanigans, not necessarily criminal, but white collar at times is obviously criminal, but that can sometimes go on for years and no one finds out. That's basically what Jamie Knoll got away with in Clark County, Indiana. And Ed Byers is going to come back on and join us and give us some more insights on that case. And he's decided to run for sheriff because he's so unhappy that some of Jamie Knoll's cronies are going to run for sheriff while Jamie Knoll sits in jail. And what do you think is going to happen, with guys that were under Jamie Knoll that are running for sheriff, and we're helping him with the corruption, and they're free because they didn't get caught. But Ed knows for sure that they were part of it. So he's going to come and share that with us. It's unbelievable. Like it's about to start over again in Clark County. If Ed doesn't win, it's going to start over again. Just what they just cleared up is now going to repeat itself. History is going to repeat itself in Clark County, Indiana. Absolutely no doubt. It's just an unbelievable travesty. And the same thing could happen in Stoughton. The same thing could happen in Canton. And so it's just unbelievable what happens. But when you're in a police department and you're in the line of duty, you're a sworn officer, and this is something you wanted your whole life. And most people who become police officers wanted to be police officers for a long time before they got hired. It's a very grueling process to get hired as a police officer. It sometimes can take you 2 and 3 tries. I got it on my first try, but it was like 4 months of grueling interviewing and background checks and psychological exams and trainings and passing just every kind of test you could imagine in order to be hired. And then you have to go to the police academy. If you haven't already put yourself through one, then then your department hires you, and then they put you through the police academy. And that's another grueling, 4 to 6 month ordeal. So I know that she wanted to be a police officer. It was a goal of hers. It was a dream of hers. She was an explorer, just like Sandra Birchmore was. And so for her to now have witnessed something that she did not want to see and wish she hadn't seen and shared in that first interview 2.5 years ago, and now is, in my opinion, being pressured and told to recant that and to say it was some kind of false memory. There's no way she did that on her own. She wouldn't have any reason to. There's no reason for her to do that. There's no reason for her to tank her career like this and to put her morals and her ethics on a line on the stand and lie for what good. So there has to be some type of nefarious crap going on in the background. She had to have been told to do this by somebody. It's just plain as the nose on your face. So I have empathy for her, and a lot of people don't, but I do. I know what it's like to witness something that you know is bad and you have nowhere to go with it. There is rot beneath you. There is rot above you. And where do you go? If you do anything, they will fire you. They will make your life hell. They will fire you. You will be gone, or you'll be buried in a desk job for the rest of your life. That's how bad it can be at a lot of police departments. There's a lot of good cops out there. There's a lot of good people out there in law enforcement. But unfortunately, a lot of them get stuck. They get stuck in between the layers of the rotten. And until they can be rooted out, it's just this constant vicious circle in law enforcement. It's terrible. It's really terrible. Let's finish up a little more with her for tonight, and then we'll talk more about her on Friday Night Lies.
Yes.
Thank you. What time about did you take over the dispatch desk that morning?
Immediately following when the 911 call came in.
Would have been 6-ish in the morning. Does that sound about right?
Sometime I would say towards the later of my shift, but it was the middle of winter and dark out. So I don't know if it was 4, 5, 6.
Understood.
When
But it was
did your
still dark
shift
out.
end?
Yes.
When
Once
did your
you
shift end?
took over the dispatch desk, did you stay there even past your normal shift ending to support the investigation that was ongoing?
Not to support the investigation. I was just on overtime.
Okay. So you stayed past your normal end time of your shift that day.
Yes, on overtime.
You stayed into the afternoon, correct?
I believe the shift ended at 3:45 p.m. for the Canton Police.
But you stayed past your ending shift time, correct?
Objection.
I'm sorry, I'll rephrase it.
When was
Did
your
you
shift
stay
supposed
past
to
your ending
end?
shift time?
For my regular shift, yes, because I was on overtime on the day shift.
Did you observe anything unusual that stood out in your mind that occurred, pardon me, in the Sally Port while you were on that shift?
So we've discussed this previously. I can't make that statement on the stand because I've been provided information released by the defense that
What?
it was not a memory, that it was a distorted memory. Therefore, I can't state it because at this point it would be a lie. I cannot make that statement that you're wanting me to make on the stand because I've advised that that would be a lie.
Ms. Dever, I've never asked you to make a statement.
What?
This is where Emily loses her mind.
I'm going to back up her dialogue on that. Because she said she talked to the defense prior to the first trial. But I am so curious as to what she is getting at. So I'm going to back up. She said, no, I don't have a memory of what I think you're trying to ask me because you've provided me information. But if it refreshes your recollection, you're allowed to be provided information like your report or your statement that you gave to other law enforcement. We're backing that up. I need to hear that again. This is about the
Yes.
Sally Port.
Thank you.
This question.
What time about
I
did
went
you
too
take
far.
over the
Emily, you went way too far. What time did you take over dispatch after 6 a.m.? Then she worked overtime until 3:45. I don't know what time their morning shifts ends. So I backed up too far.
your normal end time of your shift that day?
She stayed on overtime.
Yes, on overtime.
You stayed into the afternoon, correct?
I believe the shift ended at 3:45 p.m. for the Canton Police.
But you stayed past your ending shift time, correct?
Objection.
I'm sorry, I'll rephrase it. Did you stay past your
I backed
ending
up too
shift time?
far.
For my regular shift, yes, because I was on overtime on the day shift.
Did you
Okay.
observe anything unusual that stood out in your mind that occurred, pardon me, in the Sally Port while you were on that shift?
So we've discussed this previously. I can't make that statement on the stand because I've been provided information released by the defense that it was.
So she says, we've discussed this previously, like she's having like a conference call with, with someone in her office. I mean, you just don't talk to the lawyers like that. When you're an officer and you're on the stand and as a witness, you do not speak to the lawyers like that. I mean, her behavior this whole time has been like this. So I don't know why this is shocking us, right? Because we watched it already, but we're watching it back as if we haven't watched it. And, her demeanor is, has just sucked the entire time. And now this behavior with Attorney Jackson is just so out of line. And this entire thing is mind boggling, right? That she's saying that, she's about to say the rest of it that we can't believe. And you're right, Sherry D, power makes people assholes. Sorry, YouTube, but that is the truth. It's Wednesday. And on Wednesdays, we swear power makes people assholes. And it just does. It just does. I've seen it time and time again in my careers that I've had over my long life of being here 62 years on this planet. I've had 4 careers in my life. I've loved all of them. I've had some part-time jobs that I loved. I love this. I love volunteering. I love live streaming, but too much power creates monsters. And then we're forced to work with these monsters, either under them or side by side with them. And it's tough. It's really, really tough. And I don't know. I don't know what the answer is. I don't know how you prevent it. How do you prevent? I mean, people have to be in power. We need leaders. We need bosses. We need supervisors. How do we prevent people that rise up in the ranks in any occupation, in any profession? How do we prevent the narcissism that seems to be glowing out of their bodies? And so what came first, the chicken or the egg? Is someone who's a narcissistic personality, are they addicted to power? Are they addicted to striving to be the best they can be? So they become literally like workaholics and power hungry and always constantly reaching to be in charge and to be in these promotional positions? Or does power cause someone to be in a narcissistic personality? And I'm not saying a diagnosable one. Only a licensed therapist or a psychiatrist, psychologist can diagnose someone as a narcissistic personality disorder. And there's plenty of people that have that and they're not diagnosed. But there's plenty of people that just have narcissistic traits. They're not necessarily diagnosable, but they have traits of being narcissistic. Do they become narcissistic with all the power they get, or they were already narcissistic and they are the people that want the power, and then as they get the power, they just become worse and worse and worse. So, what came first, the chicken or the egg? What's that, right? Sherry D says, I have empathy for her as well to a certain degree, as As I then wonder, would she F me over in a situation and lie to make me look bad and herself look good? Right, exactly. It puts her in a bad position, like I've been saying, either way. If she tells the truth, then she's screwed over all of her boys and women in blue friends who don't want her to tell the truth, or who are still protecting the people that unalive John O'Keefe. So then she's probably never going to make it as an officer. If she does follow this end game of saying she had a false memory and backtracking everything she said before, then she gets promoted. She's already at Boston PD. So they moved her from Canton to Boston quickly for a reason. She definitely did not have, in my opinion, enough years under her belt and the maturity to move from Canton to Boston, to work in that level of crime that they see in Boston. I personally don't believe she should have been moved there that quickly. That's my opinion. I'm sure other officers might have different opinions. But why did that happen so fast? And the whole thing just doesn't smell right. Okay. Nothing about this is right. So when things don't feel right or smell right, if it walks like a duck and quacks like a duck, it's a freaking duck. And, she's going to have a lot of explaining to do someday if they actually do and are able to figure out what happened to John O'Keefe. And it does come out that Karen Reed's car was messed with illegally in the Sally part, and she witnessed it, and she knows she witnessed it. That'll be something, won't it? That'll be something.
It was not a memory, that it was a distorted memory. Therefore, I can't state it because at this point it would be a lie. I cannot make that statement that you're wanting me to make on the stand because I've advised that would be a lie.
Ms. Dever, I've never asked you to make a statement one way or the other on the stand. I'm asking you an open-ended question.
Who advised
Okay,
you
so
that would be a lie?
Well, let me ask you a question.
The people telling her there's
Did
no
you
way you
observe
could have
something
seen that, right,
in the
Kelly?
Sallyport
You didn't
garage
see that, Kelly.
on January 29th, 2022, that you found unusual, stuck out in your mind?
Given factual information that makes it so I know I did not, no.
So the answer is no.
Correct.
Do you remember being interviewed on August 9th, 2023?
I do.
That was by a separate law enforcement agency, correct?
So now
Yes.
he's going to
Two
impeach her
separate law
with the
enforcement
interview.
agents, is that right?
Yes.
And you were advised during the course of that interview on August 29th of something, correct?
Can you
I'm
rephrase
sorry,
that?
August 9th.
So what was I advised of? Can you rephrase that?
Sure. Were you advised that lying to those officers would be a crime?
Wait, did you lie? What?
So it was a willing conversation. I've spoken with their legal team. Because of the fact I was providing factual information that showed a statement of mine was a false memory, it was not a lie. Therefore, I made it in good faith, and I retracted given information that it could not be accurate.
Ms. Dever, did you understand my question?
I've spoken with their legal team. Isn't their legal team like the U.S. Attorney's Office?
Okay, guys, this is the part that just literally blows my mind. How in the freaking world does she expect us to believe that she is a police officer, sworn police officer of sound mind and body, has made it through the police academy, apparently has other education prior, is working in the dispatch that night because she had to take over for good because he had to go out on the scene because Jen McCabe had already called 911. So in the Canton Police Department, they all have to chip in and cover dispatch when who's ever in charge of dispatch, the officer, the sergeant or the lieutenant can't be there. That she saw something, reported that she saw something, and now we're expected to believe that she was just seeing things. I mean, what is a false memory? I've never even heard of such a thing before in this instance, in this kind of a case. Of course, I believe in the psychology world, they do believe that people can have false memories. But in this particular case, she witnessed this. This wasn't something that happened to her, which causes trauma, which then can cause false memories. This is something that she witnessed other people doing. So she can't use that. That's not psychologically proper. I'm going to look some of this up, and I will get back to you on Friday Night Lives with Julie, because this is what really shook me about this in the first place. Whoever advised her to do this, whoever told her to do this, because you know she did not do this on her own accord. There is no way she woke up one morning and said, oh, I'm having a false memory. I didn't really see that. I was seeing things that night. I was overtired. I must have been delusional from working a long shift. I'm on overtime. I saw something that didn't happen. And I suddenly realized it. I mean, this is ludicrous that who's ever trying to cover this up and doesn't want us to know what she saw or go on with more of what she saw. They're stopping her in her tracks. They are delusional that they think that all of us that follow true crime and that advocate for victims of crime, that we are this naive or this gullible or this stupid. That this is the part of the testimony that absolutely makes me nuts. And Sherry D said it perfectly. Kelly Dever makes me batty. And this is what makes me batty, that she is trying to pass this off and have a jury of smart, intelligent individuals, and Karen Reed and her family and everyone in that courtroom and all of us watching this trial believe that this is perfectly logical, that we should be okay with this. Let's finish watching this, and then we're going to close off for tonight and finish up on Friday Night Lives. I have to laugh because this is so ridiculous. It's laughable.
Ma'am, can we get back to I don't even know why I'm here? Because it seems that you do know why you're here.
Yes, you do. She knows exactly.
It's giving you know exactly why you're here and you don't like it.
Exactly.
Oh, boy. Oh, boy. Chad, I think we're at Code Red. But the problem is if we go to Code Red now, we can't get any redder. But I've never heard anyone give a soliloquy like that with, that was a distorted memory, and I've spoken to their legal team and retracted my statement. You retracted your statement to the feds. The jury doesn't know it's the feds. We know it's the feds.
Thank you, Wake Up America.
Chad, I'm granting your motion for Code
Red.
Red.
For a lifetime medical deal.
And then we're going to see what the fuck this is.
I believe it.
Motion granted. For all of you that are new here, Code Red is flashy until the music stops. So if any of you are sensitive to flash, just when the music stops, the flashing will stop. It's 8 seconds long. We are going to Code Red.
Code Red.
In 3.
Here we go. 2, 1. Code
because
Red.
What the fuck?
What the fuck? Code Red. That's 10.
What the fuck?
Oh,
what the fuck?
Crazy.
What the fuck is happening? Okay. Let's continue.
Yes, I did. You threatened to charge me with perjury during our phone call.
What? No, Emily, back up. You threatened to Jackson can't charge you with shit. He's no longer a district attorney. Jackson, I'll charge you with perjury, sir.
This is insane.
Things that are not within your purview any longer.
This is insane.
I've spoken with their legal team. We're just backing up.
Bradley Apo. The problem with people at power.
Jackson can't charge you with perjury. Okay.
Correct. Absolutely.
We can't go redder.
Lying to those officers would be a crime.
So it was a willing conversation. I've spoken with their legal team. Because of the fact I was providing factual information that showed a statement of mine was a false memory, it was not a lie. Therefore, I made it in good faith, and I retracted given information that it could not be accurate.
It showed a statement of mine was a false memory. I mean, this is crazy. It's almost like they exactly, Sherry D. They set her up. Yes, I'm thinking so. You know, we watched this back about a month ago on Friday Night Lives, but now that I'm watching, every time I watch this back, I start to feel her jargon is just so convoluted. Like it doesn't make any sense. And that's why Emily, when she goes to this, red alert, DEFCON red, because this is like really effed up stuff, you guys. Like you're just not going to see this kind of, what's the old word? Tomfoolery, shenanigans. These are the old words. You're just not going to see that this often in trials. It's just unbelievable. There's just no other way to say this. And Sherry D, I think you might be right. Julie says false memory is CYA. Is cover your Cover your own ass. Exactly. CYOA, right? Is that what you're trying to say, Julie? Yes. Cover your ass. Yes. We used to say back in my day, CYOA, cover your own ass. Yeah. I mean, this is just, unbelievable. Hitting the suds. Y'all have a great evening. Thank you, Sherry D. We're just about done for tonight anyway. Hope to see you on Friday Night Lies. Appreciate your contribution always in our friend zone. You're so welcome to be here anytime. Yes. Good night, Sherry D from Julie. So, in fact, this is a great breaking point because I really do want to go back over this a little bit with Julie verbally on Friday Night Lies. I wanted to get a little kickstart tonight, and we'll definitely we'll start out, I think, our Friday Night Lies with this. I'll kind of go over for Friday Night Lies subscribers and people, well, you're all subscribers, but people that join us on Friday Night Lies. We'll go over a little bit of this in case they weren't here tonight. And it's worth it because it's just so unbelievable, guys. This is really something that is so rare to see, someone that's been so obviously manipulated. I mean, I know a lot of people are going hard on her, and and understandably so. I mean, we all have free will. We have free will to say what we want to say the truth, to be truthful. But do we? I mean, there's times when we don't. And I'm going to tell you, I can't say too much, but I witnessed something when I was a police officer that I didn't want to witness, and I couldn't do a lot about it. And it wasn't anything that hurt a suspect or that hurt a case or that hurt a witness. It was internal, but it was very poor, very bad behavior. And I felt like there was nothing I could do, that I would be completely ostracized, that I was already having issues because I had hurt my neck and I had returned to duty after FMLA and after work hardening program, it's called, which is really hard to do, to come back from a neck surgery and go back in the line of duty. But I did that, and I'm not trying to praise myself for it. I'm just saying it's very hard to do. And a lot of my fellow officers didn't want me to come back. They wanted me to just be done right then and there. They didn't want to work with me. I think they thought I was weak because I got hurt or something. Anybody can get hurt in any job they have. Anybody can get hurt on any random day. It was, so I was already kind of under the gun, pardon the pun again, but under fire, constantly being, talked about sometimes behind my back by law enforcement officers I worked with who weren't very nice people. And I saw something that I didn't want to see, and I felt I had no options, no choice. And it's a terrible feeling. So I can have empathy for her. Now, I don't totally have empathy for her because what I saw wasn't something that affected a case or that affected the outcome of a jury or a witness, or someone's life. It wasn't like that, but it was still being in a rough spot, a lose-lose situation for sure is what I felt like I was in. Because if I told on that person, then I'm a rat, I'm a snake, I'm a snitch. If I don't tell on that person, then it pissed me off because they were doing something they shouldn't have been doing and during work time, and it was wrong and not cool. And a lot of people knew about it. So it wasn't just me. And eventually, things came out, but I just felt like I couldn't do it because I was already constantly being harassed by a lot of my fellow officers because of my neck injury and returning to duty with a neck injury. I didn't feel like I could say anything, and it was a terrible position to be in. So in her case, she has the chance to tell the truth, but does she? I mean, we don't know what kind of pressure is being put on her. We don't know what kind of threats were made to her. We just know from what we see, none of this makes sense, and it can't be truth. And there had to be a lot of lies going on the stand that day. So thanks, Julie. Thanks, Sherry D. Thanks, everybody that was with me tonight. I welcome all of you. If you were new here for the first time, please stick with us. We are advocating for many beautiful humans who have lost their lives to homicide and their cases are not solved. And as I always begin my live streams, I end my live streams with telling you all that wherever you believe your people are, the family's people are, whether it's heaven or if you believe that we go somewhere else, they are calling out to us from above saying, my life mattered. Please advocate for me. Please help get the person who unalived me with their hands or with a weapon put in jail. So I have some justice. So my family has some peace. And that's why we are here. That's why we are social change warriors and justice seekers. And I thank you all so much for joining me tonight. And I'll be back with Julie, the craziest person on earth, our Boston Jewel, and all of our fantastic subscribers who join us in our friend zone on Friday Night Lies. So I'll look forward to seeing you on Friday night. This week will be at 8 p.m. Eastern Time. Thank you so much, everyone. It's just us.
They try to silence the truth we shout, but we're still here, we're still calling out. Corruption hides behind a badge and name. We light the fire, expose the shame. We're justice seekers, we'll fight the fight for every voice lost in the night. My life mattered is the cry we sing for the ones they tried to bury within. It's just us, we're a movement wide. Together we rise, won't run nor hide. The stories echo, the pain runs deep. For stolen lives we can't just weep. Elected power but their hearts are cold. We'll bring the truth, let it be told. We're justice seekers, we'll fight the fight for every voice lost in the night. My life mattered is the cry we sing for the ones they tried to bury within. It's just us, we're a movement wide. Together we rise, won't run nor hide. We're justice seekers, we'll fight the fight. The heroes undo the harm. Calling out corruption, we'll stand tall. For justice and truth, we'll risk it all. My life mattered is the cry we sing. Together we rise, let freedom ring. They try to silence the truth we shout, but we're still here, we're still calling out. Corruption hides behind a badge and name. We light the fire, expose the shame. We're justice seekers, we'll fight the fight for every voice lost in the night. My life mattered is the cry we sing for the ones they tried to bury within. It's just us, we're a movement wide. Together we rise, won't run nor hide. The stories echo, the pain runs deep. For stolen lives we can't just weep. Elected power but their hearts are cold. We'll bring the truth, let it just us. We're a movement wide. Together we rise, won't run nor hide. We're justice seekers, we'll fight the fight for heroes, undo the harm. Calling out corruption, we'll stand tall for justice and truth. We'll risk it all.